Moriden Athluan.
Working from within, Moriden Stormcrown created distrust, hatred, and discord within the ranks of the mighty vampire army raised by the ancient bloodline of Clan Volkar.
Cursing the name of he who defeated them, these vampire hordes were driven back to the plains of oblivion.
And so we find ourselves thrown together once again, my friend. Almost as if one of us were looking for the other. But why would either of us do that?
To self-improvement and the training of long-ignored talents and abilities.
Even as he trained at the illustrious and fabled Mages College of Winterhold, Moriden still continued to search for a solution to the continuing dragon attacks.
Spending his time, now, searching for answers among the countless tomes of the arcane library, it would not be long before he was again called on to save all of Skyrim.
Ah, is that where we left off? Once again, the bards only tell you what they believe to be truth. They weren't there. They don't understand. You, though. You, of all people, need to understand. So let me tell you what the bards will not, what they cannot. Because the truth is not what the bards would have you believe. Two Morning Star, 4th Era, 202. Together the four of us stood at the edge of the great precipice, the whalebone bridge at our backs. Side to side, we stared into the dark mist, the soul snare of Alduin. There was fear in our eyes, I do not lie. Alduin was challenging enough on my own in a world more devoted to the mortals than those who live beyond its embrace. But here, in what amounted to Alduin's personal hunting ground, we would need all the luck and skill we could muster. As one, we shouted to the skies, only to hear Alduin's distant shout restore the mist. Again we shouted, and the skies cleared for the barest of moments, before Alduin countered us yet again. Once, twice, thrice and done, we shouted, putting all of our knowledge and essence into that cry to the heavens. The mist broke, and Alduin was waiting for us. The Darkwing Nightmare wasted no time in beginning his attack, and we figured out in short order that until we could force Alduin to the ground, nothing we could throw at it could even touch it. I attempted to call down the lightning, and with what I swear was almost an amused glare at me, Alduin casually called down flaming rocks from the heavens instead, cancelling out my own storm in favor of its. Clearly, Alduin had learned from our last encounter, and refused to stay still for long if it could help it. Strafing attack followed strafing attack as we were struck with flame, frost, and comet. Though it moved fast, it was not fast enough to avoid Dragonrend, not when there were no less than 4 voices using it to ground the beast. Once on the ground, with 4 columns of attack to defend, Alduin quickly found itself in a bind. Though it tore and fought and shouted, it could only direct such in one direction at a time, which made the eventual end all but foregone. If one believes in destiny, then there is only ever one outcome possible. We struck from range. We struck from up close. We shouted. We cast magic upon it. All things we could do, we did, to keep Alduin confused, angry, unable to think straight. Again and again we hit it with Dragonrend to prevent it from taking to the skies again. At last, it was too much. And with a great explosion of flesh and fire, Alduin scattered pieces of itself across the landscape, unable to contain its own power anymore. A final, last cry to the heavens. I think perhaps to entreat its father, Akatosh, for mercy. And then even the spectre of the great beast was gone. Silence fell across Sovngarde, and the skies took on colors and hues that I can scarce describe. Dark though it was, there was a beauty to it all that I can not describe. The priorities of the living are not those of the dead. Their task accomplished, my 3 companions returned to the hall to tell the tale and engage in the divine feast and drink that awaited them. For me, well, for a time I remained silent on the hillside, contemplating what the end of Alduin would mean for Nirn and Tamriel. Soon found me there, along with a few of the others. Congratulations were in order, and an invitation to join them on a more permanent basis sometime in the distant future, when my time on Nirn was done. I half smiled. I'd already made that decision, of course. Plus, as Aedra touched as I was already, it was unlikely they would ever let me in again anyhow. Before I was sent back to Nirn, though, I was given one last gift. A new shout, created by Shor himself. Heroes' valor. The gift to be able to call upon the heroes of Sovngarde at will. A noble gift, indeed. But one that I doubt I will use. My own bow, my own strength is likely more than enough to deal with anything else that the world may send me. After all, once you have defeated that which should have ended the world, what other challenge is there? Another blinding light, and I found myself atop the throat of the world, surrounded by at least a dozen dragons. As one, their wings wide and their heads held to the sky, they trumpeted in their own tongue to the heavens. I still know little enough of the Dove that I don't know the exact words they used, but I knew it for what it was. A cry of mourning. A final goodbye to that which had been their leader, their eldest brother, if you will. I said nothing, but knelt in the snow and watched as one by one they cried out, and then took to the skies, winging towards parts unknown. Except, of course, for Parthenax, who stayed on his perch, as it always does, watching its brothers and me. At last it was only the two of us atop the mountain, though several still flew circles around the peak. I had little to offer to Paarthurnax. I had done what was required of me, no more. There was no blame or anger in its voice as it agreed with me, but it could also not claim to be happy or grateful at the event. Alduin had always been, and suddenly was not. The world would never again be the same, Paarthurnax said, but also said that, in my answers to its comments, it could see that I had come to see the world more as a dove does than I had before. I'm not sure it was a compliment, to be honest, but even though I still thought of the old dove as an ally, I wasn't about to argue with it when so many of the dove were around. You see, I was more or less certain what was coming. It was what I would have done, after all, what made sense. So when Paarthurnax took wing, I was only mildly surprised. Alduin is dead. Without it, the Dove are in disarray, left to their own devices, with no leadership. Paarthurnax will try to change that, try to bring them all to accept the rightness of its Thu'um. Perhaps this will in time be a new beginning, the ushering in of a future where the Dove and the mortals of the world need not try to kill each other. If there has ever been a time when a direct representative of the gods was needed to provide guidance on Nirn, this is it. And if that representative is a child of Akatosh, perhaps so much the better. I doubt I will ever see the old Dove again. But as it flapped off into the distance, other Dove taking position off of its wings and vanishing into the distance, I had to wonder. There had been one last thing it told me that day, as the sun rose and touched the top of the throat of the mountain. This will not be the last of what you will write upon the currents of time. Epilogue. What can you do when the end of the world is staring you down? You have two choices. Hide, close your eyes, wait for death to find you, or you cast your defiance into its teeth and fight it with all your energy, all your means. I chose the latter, and in this way I prevented a mad Thalmor from ending the world with a stray thought. In this way, I struck down the prophesied doom of the entire world and changed the fate of Nirn for all time. Not for Man or Mer. They will barely even know what it is I did for them that day. Those who do will likely speak little of it. For what benefit in telling people of the battle when they still see dragons on the horizon, hear the attacks in the next city or village? For all they can tell, nothing has changed. So they say nothing. I did it for me. Because I wanted to live. Because I wanted the power that those I struck down left behind. Even Paarthurnax would not challenge me, for my voice is stronger than its is, and all of the Dove know it. Perhaps some ignorant fool would call that morning the beginning of a new era on Tamriel, the 5th era of Tamriel. I cannot help but laugh at such innocence. Those who study history know that eras do not begin or end on high notes, on the great victories. They end with great tragedies, horrific devastation. The Civil War was as nothing. The Vampire Wars were over almost before they began. Nobody but the mages knows of Sarthol. Nobody but those who are directly involved know of the end of Alduin. No. The era was to change eventually, but those events, those dark days that nearly ended the Empire, were still yet to come. And of course, I was to be right in the middle of it. But that is another tale. For another time. In another tavern. Next time, you can buy the drinks, my friend. Until then, I will be